Before we hop into today's episode, I want to make a quick announcement. It is almost April 13th. This will be the 4th anniversary of our beloved Liberland. And on top of that, I'd also like to bring it to your attention that you, yes, you, have the opportunity to be one of the first estate holders in Liberland history. If you have not yet heard of the Floating Liberland project, you can go to floating.ll.land. It's a website, floating.ll.land, and check out Floating Liberland to get more information about how you can own the first property in Liberland history. Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of the Liberland Show. I'm your host, Adam J. Carswell. Today we are joined by Olivia Mirembe Musisi. Olivia is the advisor on Africa affairs to Liberland. Olivia, thank you for joining us. And do you have any opening remarks for our listeners?
Yes, I'd say my time here is hello, listeners. Good evening and welcome to the show. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. And I'm excited to have you on here. I know we were joking about it before our interview, but I didn't even realize I was interviewing you today. So this has been a pleasant surprise.
Wow, thank you.
Where are you based out of right now? Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from London.
All right. And is that home for you?
Yes, it is home for now.
You are the advisor on Africa affairs to Liberland. So tell us, if London is home for you, where is the correlation to any African nations?
What happens is by the time I was appointed to the post in Liberland, I had just returned from Africa because my husband and my children were born in the UK. I kind of have a presence in the UK. However, I travel a lot. Most of the year I'm in Africa. So that is how I coordinate the Liberland activities.
All right. And I know, to me, when I hear Africa, I think sometimes Africa, out of all the continents, gets grouped into this. It's almost like it's one big giant country, but that's definitely not the case. So tell us about the countries in Africa that you travel to, and also where your roots are. Where is it that you have family in Africa?
Right. I was born in Uganda. I studied in Uganda, and much of my life has been there. Uganda is in East Africa. Yeah, but I do visit or work with other countries like Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, some of the Southern African countries, Zambia, and Sierra Leone, and many others.
Wow, yeah, those are all beautiful countries. I haven't actually been to any of them, but I've seen pictures and I have a lot of friends from there.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll take you to some of them.
All right. Is Uganda your personal favorite, or do you gravitate towards a different nation?
Uganda is my favorite because I've grown up there. It's got a lot of attractions to me. The food, the weather, the climate, the people, everything to me, because it's home. So it's my favorite. But in terms of beauty, landscapes, and other things, every part of the world or different parts of Africa have different attractions, yes.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you begin your journey as a Liberlandian?
I was on my way to Paris, and I was with a friend, a colleague. It was His Excellency Jean Merpel. He's the ambassador of Congo Brazzaville to the UK.
Okay, sorry, what was his name again?
His title is His Excellency Jean Omer Mpeo. Jean as in Jean. Omer is Omer. Mpeo is M for mother, P for Peter, E for England, H for honey, O for orange.
Okay. And you said His Excellency.
Yeah. Yes, he's the consular for Congo Brazzaville to the UK.
Wow.
So he had a brochure for Liberland, and he just told me that I might find it interesting because of the kind of work I do. And by then I was running my own company, which is a consultancy firm. And what we do is I identify investment opportunities in the diaspora and link those to Africa with the aim to bridge the needs gaps in the different sectors, with the aim to contribute to the long-term or sustainable economic development of Africa. It's huge, it's ambitious, but maybe I shouldn't go too much into that because it's the next question. But anyway, when I met him, we were going for a conference, and it was regarding investment for Congo Brazzaville, and they were commissioning me to find them investors for certain sectors, the agriculture sector of Congo Brazzaville, because they mainly rely on oil and mining and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So agriculture is almost zero because they import 96% of the food in the country is imported. So they were desperate for an investor in agriculture. So anyway, on our way, he gave me a brochure, and this talked about Liberland. And when I just read the first page, I was confused because I thought, wow, how on earth, this day and age, could anybody think of a new country, not a new city, but a country? So right. That captivated me, and I just thought, let me read, just check out this thing. And before I could read so much, I just read about the president, and I started laughing because he was young. I mean, he's only 30. Right. Yeah. Something, and I just told him, this is a joke. But anyway, the content looked quite serious, and it was exciting to me because I thought, wow, I've never heard of any human being dream of visiting a new country. So anyhow, he told me he thought this would be a wonderful thing for me to participate in. And since I was in this line of, trying to help get investments and link up and help solve issues in Africa, this might help. I might meet new people, and it's all about networking and things like that. So I went ahead and sent an email. I remember I found the profile of Honorable Thomas Waltz. Yeah. He is the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Liberland. I sent him an email, and I was very surprised when he responded very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, he is the best for that, I have to say. And also episode 3 of the Liberland show, for anyone listening now, if you want to learn more about Thomas Walls, that was his interview. Sorry, continue.
So he responded, and his response was very positive. Yeah, so my first email was just saying, I'm interested in this. I would like to explore the whole idea of Liberland and see how, I can maybe participate or contribute. It was very brief. Then he responded, and I was really quite surprised. And I thought, wow, this must be very serious business. I then sent my profile. He took a while, and he requested me to contact Dr. Tariq Abbas, who is now the Secretary of State. So I sent him an email as well. And after some time, he got back to me with an invitation to attend a meeting in London. And I was like, wow.
Here we go.
So, I was really, really eager because this was quite, the whole thing seemed quite exciting. And I couldn't wait to hear the vision, the concept, the idea, and everybody behind this thing. So we went for the meeting, and there was an impressive presence of various people from different parts of the world. We were supposed to have the meeting in the House of Lords, but then the venue was changed to another venue in London. So we then went for the meeting anyway, and here was the president, and I was like, oh, he's the gentleman I saw in the book, in the brochure. And, such a very humble, down-to-earth human being. I said, wow, this is real leadership. Now, this is different from Africa. So I was waiting to see the bodyguards. I didn't see any. I was waiting to see, the glamour and everything. So he walked straight to us and said hello and said, if you want a cup of tea. And I was like, he's the president. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, the humility, the sense of leadership, the warmth of his heart out. I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is just amazing. So anyway, he started the meeting started. We were, I think, about maybe 28 people or 30, and each one had interest, had applied somehow. So he did a full presentation of his vision, his dream, how the whole thing started, where it was and where it is and where they're going and everything. And it just blew my mind. And as he spoke, it was as if he spoke of something he saw. When somebody describes something and they can see what they are talking, and there's no doubt, like, nothing will waver him off the dream and the vision, and he could see it happen, and he so much believed in this thing. So I kind of got really excited and thought, wow, this is a big challenge and this is huge. It's something worth taking a risk to to explore and understand more and promote. And if it happens, it would be amazing. Even if it doesn't happen, at least we tried. Right. I quickly jumped on board. I asked a few questions and they answered them, but some, they said I would get the answers as we went on. So after that, we had dinner. It was nice. And following that, I think we were asked each one to say something about how we see ourselves contribute to Liberland. And so I just said I would use my platform, what I'm already doing, to talk about the country. And whoever buys it, whoever doesn't. But at least I will have used every platform that I have to share about Liberland. Yeah. And after, I think, about 3 weeks, I received a letter in the post. And in fact, by then, what I expected was to represent Liberland in Uganda. That was what that was what I was I was hoping for, just in case they considered to take me on board. But I was very surprised. Dr. Tariq sent me an email and invited me to the office in London and told me he had a mail for me. So I went and he gave me the envelope and asked me to open it. And here was a huge, big responsibility that had struck my landed on my plate. So anyway, it was just unbelievable. And I asked him so many questions, and he just said, young lady, you go and study the letter, and I'll answer your questions by email. I was quite excited because it was a challenge. Big one for that matter. Yeah, because you can't, my role is to really promote Liberland, to, link up with heads of states. Yeah. With,
it's amazing.
With governments and,
you're right.
And try to initiate, try and initiate friendship, partnerships, corporations, or, and so on, diplomatic relationships, trade and investments, and so on. So it was huge. To me, it was big and massive. And all this, of course, we do it out of real passion and out of personal, out of passion. It's not something that you're forced to do or anything, but I was ready to take up the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's access to an amazing network as well. I mean, just us being able to connect right now and talk is something that I probably would have never even been able to wrap my mind around a year ago. And as you mentioned for yourself, I mean, not only are you potentially representing Uganda, you're representing an entire continent. And so that has to be such an exciting feeling. I'm sure you would have never been able to dream that it would happen this way.
No, I wouldn't. I didn't even know that it was a very big challenge because Africa is a massive continent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's exciting, and every step and every connection is powerful in its own way. And there are challenges and all kinds of interesting experiences, but it is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you brought one thing to my attention as well. And I would give this as a piece of advice to anyone listening now, especially since it still is kind of in the early days of Liberland. I know for myself, it sounds like similar to you. I went to a Liberland meetup in Washington, D.C. in the U.S., and I was expecting to show up and there was going to be, 50 to 100 people walking around, mingling, talking about Liberland. I RSVP'd through an email. I think it was just a blast email that went out. And next thing I know, I'm sitting down at a dinner table with 15 people that represent the country, including President Yelichka, Bogi Wozniak, Dave Mono, Thomas Walls, all these guys. I'm sitting down, I'm having dinner with them. And in my head, I thought I had no idea this is how the night was going to go. And so a lot of the meetups, I believe, are still very similar to this in the fact that if you want to get involved with Liberland, it's a lot closer to your grasps than you may think. So if you're ever able to go to an in-person Liberland meetup, I can't recommend it enough. And Olivia, it sounds like that's kind of what happened to you when you first got started.
Yes, it's exactly what happened. It was an amazing experience because it's not often that you'll find a whole government, cabinet sitting around and you're kind of dining with them and it's all, free and easy and it's just amazing. To me, that is the unique thing about Liberland. And we're all from different backgrounds and it's just like one family. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit more about your professional background just because it really caught my attention. I know you said you're basically networking, it sounds like, with investors to and from Africa. What sector exactly did you say? Agriculture?
All sectors. No, all sectors. Agriculture is just one of those that they do. Professionally,
metals, real estate.
Professionally, my first degree was fine arts and industrial design. Industrial design and fine arts, which I did not practice directly. And then I went on to do informal education and community development. And then I did a master's in community research. And I also did within the informal education and community development, I did a lot of youth work, a lot of work around women, gender issues, the whole idea of sensing or understanding communities, really integration and so on. Mm-hmm. Then I've done a lot of personal professional development programs, including the latest one being the CSC leadership program, the one that is sponsored by the Duke of Edinburgh, the one that's, that brings together all leaders from the Commonwealth. I think it happens once every 2 years. It's a very powerful program. Mm-hmm. So that being that, work-wise, I have worked more with charity organizations or NGOs, working with children, women, environment, and vocational skills, and of course, general empowerment in Africa and in the United Kingdom. So coming from that background, mm-hmm. I was able to identify so many gaps within the government sector, within the private sector, and within the not-for-profit sector. So, for example, there's a lot of good work that NGOs and charities do in Africa. And because of some of the weaknesses that are evident in most of African countries, like corruption, you find that the gaps that are created are complemented by the NGOs. The NGOs do work which government should be doing, but because of the corruption that exists in some of the governments, some of the services don't reach the people. But the NGOs go from the charities, approach the needs from the grassroots level. They actually address the real issues. So that experience enabled me to identify a gap that I felt nobody was filling. And then there are people who genuinely want to help the poor. There are people who genuinely want to make a difference. There are people who want to give. And there are people who want to invest, do business with African countries. But then they find a challenge where, again, because of corruption, because of mistrust, because of all kinds of things, they are disappointed by the receptions they get. For example, you come to one country and somebody tells you, give me money for me to help you see the president. Or, those kind of bribes and things. So those things put off the people who genuinely come to help.
Right.
So that frustration creates a gap. And so a person who would have helped 100 people or a whole community of people, built a hospital or built a charity home, an orphanage or something, whatever way they want to help, will be put off. So the people who are going to benefit from the service miss out on the service because of this one corrupt person.
Right.
So that has increased and it's kind of up. And then you find that there are also communities which are genuinely in need and cannot reach the investors, because when these investors or these people who want to help come, they arrive in the cities, but then they don't go to the rural areas. So because of that, they are denied. Both parties are missing out. So I decided to say something needs to be done. I can kind of help a few people and bridge this gap by identifying this investor and then knowing which country they want to go to and enabling them to go through the right channels, so that they don't have to face, to be put off by small things that shouldn't really, by those obstacles that should not be there.
Right.
So that is what I do now.
Well, there's a lot of value. There's a lot of value in that. So thank you for sharing with us, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of bridges built between the African nations and Liberland now because of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Indeed, yes. Yeah, so you find there's Africa is full, of raw materials and resources and so on. And there's a lot in the Western world or in the diaspora that is available to help Africa. There are little barriers that we can overcome. And the best, the approach I'm using is the one-to-one, where it simply find a few trustworthy people on the ground, link them to the people who want to do good, and let the good happen if it is to happen, and so on. But that is, it is two-way. There are also a lot of people who come and claim they're investors, but they actually scam. They are not the real people. They're not the real. So it is two-way. So both sides have issues. So when I find the right investors, I go to the right people and say, this is the right person, and then once the two people meet, and the business happens, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, So in that way, there's a lot of promotion of Liberland. It's working well for Liberland.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Olivia. Thank you so much for your time and sharing with us about yourself and what you're doing to serve the country. It's really remarkable, and for me, a huge learning experience just now. So thank you for sharing that with us. Is there a preferred way for anyone listening to follow up and get in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you. And thank you by the way, thank you. Thank you too for for everything you're doing for Liberland. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, I've got an email, which is advisorafrica@liberland.org.
Okay.
I don't know if I've said it too fast. It's advisorafrica@liberland.org, all one word.
All right. And to be clear, advisor is ADVISOR, correct?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
Then Africa, AFRICA @liberland.org. Oh, I've also got my personal email, which is Mirembe, my middle name, MIREMB, B for Britain, E for England, .Olivia, OLIVIA, @AOL.com.
All right. Well, hopefully we can drive some business your way too. It sounds like that could very well happen.
Oh wow, that would be brilliant.
Well,
that
Olivia,
would be amazing.
Thank you so much. This has been great, and also a quick thank you to Dr. Tariq Abbasi, who connected us.
Oh, thank you too, and I will pass your regards to him.
Yeah. This has been episode 23 of the Liberland Show. We were joined by Olivia Mirembe Musisi, the advisor on Africa affairs to Liberland. I'm your host, Adam J. Carswell, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.